Today, my friends, we got a beautiful one from the channel. It's Complicated. Love this fella. He sent me this on a link on Instagram a couple days ago. Gotta play this one for you. We gotta review this one because, I love how this guy asks questions, but it's even crazier how women respond. So my friends, like this video on the way in. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Book a session with the older man if you ever need any help, any mentoring. I am here for you, my friends. I am here. All right, let's first listen to the cross-dressing gentleman. I don't know what to call him. Is it transvestite, tranny? I have no idea. I don't know what words to use because you just might get canceled for any word you use these days. I have no idea. This gentleman dressed like a woman. How does that sound? That's the best I can do. Let's get into it.
Story ever told.
Oh my gosh. I guess, what would you say, Romeo and Juliet?
If the most famous love story has a man and a woman dying for each other, why are love stories usually framed where the man sacrifices himself for the woman?
Because he should. All men should sacrifice themselves.
What's the reason behind that? Where does that come from?
Why? Because men are destructive to society and women should reign.
All men should sacrifice themselves. All men. This is where we are at. Where men who want to be women are trying to throw men under the bus. All men should. Why? Why should a man sacrifice himself for a woman? So it's basically saying that a man's life is worth less than a woman's. This is where we're at right now. So as far as I'm concerned, his life, because he's just cosplaying, is worth less than a woman.
I think it kind of goes back to biblical times where the man should be the head of the household. They should make the sacrifices. The women just follow and be submissive, and the man leads.
I think that's kind of just the way that society's gone, where men are the ones who are supposed to fall on the sword. Man's hands are dirty so that women's can be clean.
Because that's how it should be. I mean, if you're a provider, then you should be willing to lay your life down for your woman.
How can she equate providing and laying your life down for a woman? How the hell can you equate the two? Just because I'm providing, I should also sacrifice myself? How the hell does that make sense? I'm lost.
You know, I don't have a problem being in the role as a man and like sacrificing for a woman that cares about me. But really the way that society is these days, in America especially, it's like the women want everything from the man and they're not willing to give anything in return. They want chivalry, but they're not willing to reciprocate with, you know, being in their feminine energy. It's really tough in this day and age, especially in Las Vegas, trying to date. You know, it's crazy.
Do you believe in 50-50 relationships or traditional roles, and why?
It depends. So me personally, I go for 50-50 because I love to work and I love to provide. But if a traditional, like where the man provides, works, then that's good for you.
If it's good for you. No, it's good for you. It's good for you. Why is it that she couldn't just say, oh, it's good for me? Because that would make her sound selfish. In other words, she wants the option to have a man who provides for her. Really, that's what it is.
How can relationships ever be 50-50 when the man's expected to sacrifice himself for the woman and serve her with chivalry?
That's a great question. I mean, it can be reciprocated.
It can go both ways. Like the man can sacrifice while the woman is also sacrificed. So 50-50 can be the man sacrifices himself with chivalry, respect and all that. And the woman is at home cooking, cleaning, you know, taking care of the housely duties. That in itself is 50-50.
How is that sacrificing? The woman would have to have done that anyway. She would have to have cooked and cleaned. Unless she's saying, while the woman is working, she's also sacrificing by coming home and doing all the domestic work as well, which I really think should also be shared. If both parties are working day in, day out, contributing equally to the household, which is really the only way that it can work in today's environment because things are much too expensive for one person to provide completely, then the other person should also help to clean up, you know, move that vacuum, put those dishes into the dishwasher. Apparently this is hard work for women now, you know. Throw that food into the air fryer or the crock pot. I just, it blows my mind how women really think that it's so hard to cook and clean these days. Like a Roomba vacuum, automated vacuum, sucking up the dust and, just brushing down the trinkets from the dust in the house. Apparently that's hard work. Women claim that this is the way that they contribute. That's cleaning nowadays. Throwing a little detergent in the toilet and swishing around the brush and cleaning out the tub. Apparently it's hard work. Blows my mind every single time. Every single time I listen to this shit.
Why will men sacrifice their personal happiness for their family, while women will sacrifice their family for their personal happiness?
Ooh, that's a good one. So you can't just paint a picture of it because it's different for every woman. I would say women are expected to, literally give up everything. So it's okay, I would say, for a woman to choose herself for once, when in history, she's always chose her family first.
What kind of bullshit is that? She's always choose her family first. When did that ever happen? Back in the day, a woman would not sacrifice her family because she knows that life would be impossible on the street. She stayed with her family. They worked it out. They worked through the good and the bad times. But in today's environment where it's so comfortable for so many women that they choose and the government is behind them, everything is given to her. So of course she's incentivized to leave the man. Alimony, child support, and then of course the 50-50 split of the matrimonial assets. Of course she can freaking leave the man. She'll sacrifice all of that shit and take the child when she sees fit. She didn't sacrifice shit.
I'd say that's just the way that society has etched it out at this point. Feminism has kind of corrupted the whole thought of sacrificing for your family. Feminists are kind of taking over, and it seems like they're mostly out here for themselves.
If a father of 2 kids sees a random woman attacked in public, should he intervene and protect that random woman?
Ooh, I would say yes.
Well, if men are supposed to be protectors, why shouldn't they protect their own family first? Why should that man risk his life, potentially leaving his own kids without a father?
That you got me there. It goes back to biblical. I feel like if he stands firm on what he believes in and helps, I think his family will be safe.
What kind of bullshit is that? Listening to this pie in the sky crap just to sound right and virtuous make women sound stupid. I bet you if this woman had a husband and kids, her answer would have been different. Just going back to biblical days, if he goes and get himself killed, his family is going to be safe. How the hell does that make sense? Wife and child no longer has a father. Oh, she can easily go and pick up another man out there and replace that father. These street interviews really shows, and it shows you the mind of a woman. It shows you how people think right off the cuff. And it's usually their true thinking because it's coming impulsively. They're not thinking it through. This is just their subconscious brain spitting out what they really, really think.
Should all men be held to biblical standards when not all men follow the Bible?
My belief, yes. But honestly, you can't be held to a standard that you don't understand or you don't have knowledge about.
So I would say a perfect example of this is like the man who was out with his girlfriend and she got jumped and he was defending his girlfriend and stuff like that. I believe that if you see danger, you should be willing to be the one to step in. Like even me personally, if I saw that, I would be willing to step in and protect those people.
Oh, yeah, with my multiple colored superhero here, I can step in and protect the people that are being harmed. I am a big, strong, feminist woman. The man can't do it. I will do it. Oh, God. The delusion kills me. I'll be happy to step in and help those people. And she evaded the question. The question wasn't if your girlfriend was being attacked. It was if there was a man with a family of 2 and he saw someone else being attacked, should that man step in? That was the question, not his girlfriend. Yes, the man should step in and protect his girlfriend, his significant other. She's under his covering. That's his woman. But The question was, should he step in and protect someone else outside his family or outside his covering? So she basically changed the whole subject.
Now, continuing on that point, why should men be sent to war to fight someone else's battle?
Women are sent to war to fight someone else's battle as well.
But aren't men required to register for selective service, but not women?
That is true. Yes, they are. But that's just, again, if you want to go back to traditional roles, I mean, who set that system up? Men did.
This is the dumbest shit. I wish he had found some smarter people to freaking talk to. Men did. Men set up that system. They should have sent women out there, right out on the front line to fight the wars against other countries who had all men who were bigger and stronger than those women. And we would have won because we are women. You hear the delusion in this shit. All right, back to the special gentleman.
They set this system up. Men set up the system to be empowered, to be in dirty positions, to separate gender roles. And I think that they should allow the fluidity of everybody entering in every role and every possibility that men think that they have to be part of.
I think I just lost a few brain cells just trying to comprehend what the hell she just said. I have no idea. Next one.
Should men be willing to go to war and die for a country that seems to hate them?
Are we talking about all men or black men?
Are we talking about men or black men? Now, all of a sudden, it's a black thing. I think we all got our own pain, man. Everybody have their own group or battle that they got to fight.
If men are more valued in society, why would they be the first ones sacrificed in war?
Probably because there'd be no chance of winning that war if we sent women to it.
Because they're the ones that set up that value in the society. The only reason that men are quote-unquote more valued in society is because they set up that system so that women and anybody that's not a white cis man is valued more. So they should be the first to go to war and be sacrificed.
Why would women appreciate the sacrifices men make when men are required to make those sacrifices to qualify as a man?
I think that it's preached throughout social media that women should just want more and more, and that intrinsically is going to translate into them not appreciating when a man actually does something for them.
I think that men should take the bulk of responsibilities. It is their position in life. They're born into a world that is designed for them to be successful. If anybody has the best chance of being successful, it would be a man.
Why does she think that? In reality, men have to compete against other men. I agree that men have a better chance at certain things, but we have a world that is currently set up in females' favor for them to succeed. However, women rarely take advantage of this position simply because the things that are required to make her successful, make more money, are hard. Very freaking hard, and most women are not prepared to work that hard. That's the bottom line. Women are not prepared to get out there to do the hard jobs, the hard sciences. Soft skill jobs, yes. Hard sciences, hard jobs, no. Women are not doing it. Science, engineering, math, no. Women are not going into those fields.
So why aren't men the ones placed on a pedestal and entitled to go first instead of women?
Because men are a dime a dozen.
I mean, they could. And in this new generation, we got a lot of guys that want to. I wouldn't be interested in one of those men in particular. But again, that's just my personal preference.
What do women provide that justifies a man risking his life?
Well, it used to be feminine energy, the ability to reproduce, and being a homemaker that takes care of everything aside from a man going out and providing and protecting.
Even if women did cook and clean, which they already do for themselves anyway, why would that be a fair trade for the sacrifices that men are expected to make?
Well, again, assuming that like you have traditional gender roles, the cooking and the cleaning, a man has to do that for himself as well. So why would the expectation be that a woman would have to do that in exchange for anything? If I have to go to work and take care of myself and provide for myself once I get a mate, I don't feel like that role ends. I personally don't like being dependent on anybody for my sole everything. Like, I think there should be a partnership. And if men want the respect, which is what I hear most men say, they want to be the king, I want to be the head, then you should take a bulk of the responsibilities if that is how you feel.
She's right. However, if he wants to take the bulk of the responsibility and she permits it, then she has to take a submissive role. But unfortunately, someone like that looks and speaks like her clearly shows that she wants a partner. In other words, the man has to buy her submission. He has to buy his dominance, his masculinity, his prowess, his strength. Apparently, that does not contribute to him. And of course, his logic and reasoning, apparently that is not enough for her to be submissive.
Because I think that's what men want. Men want somebody that's going to take care of them in the home. And I think women want somebody that's going to protect and provide for them traditionally.
If you expect a traditional role and you're, out providing, making money, bringing home the bacon, why wouldn't you expect your woman to, be at home taking care of the house? I would say that's a completely fair trade because that's an additional job taken off your shoulders.
Do Christians believe that men should be like Jesus, sacrificial, while women should be like the Virgin Mary?
I do. I am very religious, and I do believe that they should be that way.
Why is there more religious pressure on men to be sacrificed than there's religious pressure on women to be virgins?
Honestly, I feel like that answer is answered depending on what culture you were born in and what religion you believe in.
If you look at the Bible, it's like women being virgins and like men sacrificing. It's like men aren't expected to sacrifice that much versus if you look like in other countries, like women are expected to cover up and stuff like that. Like men don't have that same expectation.
If religion is a choice, why isn't dying in war also a choice?
I think that's because that's been the standard set for us for years.
Because of the draft, because of government stipulations on who has to go to war and who not. I mean, there hasn't been a draft for a while, but I could see that happening at some point.
Does history justify an injustice that's been taking place?
It plays a part.
Well, why defend the injustice of male sacrifice just because it's happened in the past?
Ooh, you've gotten me. I don't have a response for that one.
In a country of religious freedom, why should someone's beliefs be forced onto others?
I don't believe anybody's beliefs are forced onto anybody. We are in Sin City right now. Like, if this is a Christian nation, this would be like Sodom and Gomorrah and burnt down, but that isn't how things are.
The short answer is they shouldn't. Some people are weak-minded, and they will be swayed in whatever direction somebody is telling them that they should be, but I'm not that guy.
Religious people, and like I'm not religious, so I kind of feel strongly about that. Religious people always try to impose their views like that. Like if you just look in America today, like they're always trying to impose religion in our laws when not everyone follows Christianity.
I prefer to stay out of the religious bit. You guys know I'm not a religious guy. The reality of it is everybody thinks that their religion is the right one. And I know that's not possible. I know that all religions cannot be the right one. But I know one thing is possible. They can all be the wrong one.
What are your thoughts on the following expression? Sperm is cheap, eggs are expensive.
I think that's disgusting. I don't think we should be putting a price on our bodies.
Sperm's cheap because you can easily, there's a lot of men willing to give that up, and I feel like it's not hard to, go find a sperm donor versus an egg donor. I feel like would be a little bit more.
Well, I've never been to a sperm bank, so I don't know how expensive sperm is, but I have followed stories of women who do IVF, and from what I've heard, it's incredibly expensive.
I think it's bullshit because, just any man's sperm is maybe not valuable, but at the same time, any woman's egg isn't valuable. It's like there's genetics, there's quality of character, there's other factors that go into the value of each gender, each specific person's reproductive, whatever it is, juices, I don't know.
Why is it that they had a hard time figuring that one out? A woman produces a finite amount of eggs in her lifetime, and she only drops one egg per month. One. I don't understand why they missed the mark on this one. The reality of it is most men, a good, healthy, average man, produces around 150 million to 200 million. I would say sperm cells per day. Let me check with ChatGPT just to make sure. Tell me again for my viewers, How many sperm cells does a good healthy man produce per day? You're in my podcast.
Right, Paul. In simple terms, a healthy man typically produces about 100 to 200 million sperm cells per day. That's the factual number. So there's your answer.
You're sure? You checked that online?
Yes, Paul, I'm sure. That figure is well established from medical and scientific sources, and it's a standard reference, so you can take that as a factual baseline.
All right. So there you go. Men produce way more sperm cells than women produce eggs. That's why female eggs are so rare and more expensive.
Why are women seen as more valuable based on the idea of repopulating a society when they're restricted to one man, one woman through God's marital arrangement?
Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be some man that's willing to impregnate a woman, but there's not always going to be a woman that's ready to bear the children of any man. I'm not sure.
How can men and women have equal value as human beings if men are disposable?
I feel like the only way to be equal is to both sacrifice the same things.
Oh, these guys have a hard time understanding life, boy. Whew. A woman can only have one child every 9 months. Every 9 months. One man produces 200 million sperm cells per day. All it takes is one of those to impregnate one woman. One man can impregnate 10,000 women. He can repopulate an entire city. Okay? With one freaking squirt. 100 million sperm cells to 200 million. A woman only produces one egg per month. Do the math. That is why men are considered less valuable than women. If there was a war right now, for example, going on in Ukraine, they ship out all the women, not because they can't fight. Well, that is a major part of it. But it's if you want to preserve your society, you get the woman to safety. The majority of the men are going to die in war. But when the war is over, only a few men are required to impregnate all the women that had left to repopulate your society. It's not rocket science. Let's listen to a little bit more. But it's just amazing how people think, especially when they're caught off guard.
Why should biology or religion dictate a man's gender role any more than a woman's role?
I don't think that they do, really. Well, no, I take that back. Men are stronger than women, and that is natural by design. I believe that women are more innately nurturing, but having those dominant qualities, I don't think is a prerequisite for you being thrust into some type of American set gender role.
Why do we typically save women and children first in an emergency situation?
Because they're the weaker gender of the human species, and basically, traditionally, men are protectors and providers, and that is an act of that role.
Refer back to the one simple reason I told you with the example of how women and men reproduce. Women were guarded in order for them to reproduce the population, and the children had a longer life ahead of them, and they had much more reproductive possibilities going ahead. That's why it was always women and children first.
How is being physically stronger going to help men survive when they sink on the Titanic?
Well, for one, they have greater endurance. So if Rose couldn't hold him on the door, maybe he could have swam, to a lifeboat that was a little bit further. But I think that's a dramatization. The reality is that I think men have a greater chance of survival because they are stronger.
I think it's kind of like a societal norm that, men are physically stronger, so that's their gender role is to be.
But I mean, on the Titanic, being physically stronger didn't make a difference. They just were sacrificed because you're a man and you're disposable. So what does physical strength have to do with disposability?
I'm not sure it's so much physical strength. I think that, in that day and age, women were valued more as being the gender that can reproduce, and children being innocent. and basically men are sacrificial, like they're a dime a dozen.
Why does our society base human value on reproductive potential? Doesn't that violate a woman's consent to having kids in the first place?
I mean, yeah, I think as a whole, we base our society way too much on reproductive potential. I mean, me personally, I choose to be child-free, and I really value a woman's choice in that.
Oh, gosh. Women like that really are useless to most societies. She's not willing to reproduce. She's selfish. What use is she? If we're going to use the example of women and children first, based on their reproductive value, and we know the reason for it, like I just explained, then it's vital for the survival of a society. But she's saying, I'm not willing to even reproduce. So technically, she should not be given any priority. But I can tell you, when that boat's going down, she will scream, I'm a woman, I'm a woman. And she will yank out that nose ring and freaking start acting feminine just to survive. My friend, this was interesting. I always loved it. It's complicated. I will leave a link to this video. Of course, go over there, watch the rest of this video. There's a lot more that he has on his channel. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about this subject. Are men disposable in today's environment or not? As usual, subscribe if you haven't already. Book a session with the older man if you need any help, my friends. And of course, subscribe. And so, until tomorrow, my friends, remember, whenever in doubt, always ask an older man. I'll see you soon. Cheers.